COVID continues to dominate the storyline all across the country as we seeing more people being diagnosed and impacted by the Delta variant. The FDA, they have finally given a full approval to the Pfizer COVID drug, and so now it has a full. So now it's going to allow them to actually be able to distribute this all across the country. We continue, as I say, to deal with this issue. Over the weekend, we found out that Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and his wife Jacqueline Jackson both hospitalized due to COVID. Let's talk about where we are right now with Dr. Tyson Bell. Of course, he is the critical care and infectious disease expert at the University of Virginia. He joins us. Always glad to have you on the show, Doc. What is interesting here is that we are seeing this Delta variant. We keep having experts on trying to explain to people what's going on here, that when people don't get vaccinated, then they get COVID, the virus is mutating and becoming a deadlier virus. Could you please explain to folks what that means?
Thanks for having me on, Roland. And sadly, you're exactly right. Each time the virus infects someone else, it's like playing the lottery. And just like playing the lottery, if you play the lottery once, probably not going to win. But if you have a whole lot of tickets, there's a greater chance that you'll have a breakthrough. So just like with the lottery, the COVID-19 virus, if there's a lot of it circulating in the country and across the world, it has more lottery tickets and it has that chance to find that variant that's going to cause more problems. So in the case of the Delta variant, this one emerged in India, in a country that had a very low vaccination rate. It just exploded throughout the country as we saw. Delta variant emerged, and now it's over here. And so, of course, we're at risk now of having further variants, and that really just reemphasizes the point that we absolutely have to get more people vaccinated, decrease the chances that the virus will continue to spread throughout the country. And that's how we finally turn the tide on the pandemic. So the news today of the FDA fully approving the Pfizer vaccine, that's welcome news. And I hope that we can use it to get even more people vaccinated.
So, Doc, you're saying that the more people who are vaccinated, it decreases the chances of new variants being developed, right?
Exactly. 100%.
So one of the things that we're seeing, we talk
about, but it's just that simple. We got to get more people vaccinated.
You obviously you have a hesitancy. There are all kinds of different people who are throwing stuff out here, and they again say all kind of stuff. You got all of these all of a sudden these new Google physicians, folks who never went to medical school, offering their advice and counsel and had no idea what they're talking about. I also believe there was a TikTok video that I played over the weekend that's on my page that I actually ran, where there was an actual scientist who was responding to some woman on TikTok who was kind of like, "No, that's not true. That's a lie. Nope, you're wrong." I think there has to be more of that. I think there has to be a direct attack, a direct assault on taking those videos and saying, no, this is the truth, and exposing these people or their lies. Otherwise, look, last week, Facebook announced that one of their top posts on Facebook was an anti-vaccine article that was riddled with just numerous errors. That's what we're seeing being disseminated across the country. And our audience is being fed this stuff and they're buying into it.
I think you're completely right. We have to really start aggressively calling misinformation out. At this point, the COVID-19 is it's its own pandemic. It's bad enough, but the misinformation is a pandemic in and of itself, and it spreads at a much more rapid rate than factual information from credible experts. And I've seen it myself. We've had people come into the hospital where I work, intubated, who are believing that this is a hoax, even up to the point where the breathing tube goes down. They're getting fed information from false sources saying that the vaccines either don't work, they're not necessary, and they're not effective, and they're not safe, all of which we know are not true. The vaccines are safe. They are effective. It can keep you out of the hospital. It can keep you from dying from COVID-19. And so we have to be very aggressive now about calling out governors who are not doing the right thing and not promoting things like masks and the mitigation measures, not promoting vaccines. We really have to do as much as we can and start getting aggressive about calling the BS out.
Well, look, I mean, again, one of the reasons why we keep putting experts on, I keep trying to tell people, look, we particularly want to have black experts on because you need to hear exactly what's going on. When we talk about this Pfizer, this full approval, what does that mean for the Food and Drug Administration? What does it mean for the public?
Well, it means a few things. So first of all, this is not any surprise at all. I mean, there's never been a vaccine or drug in history that has as much data supporting its approval than the COVID-19 vaccine, Pfizer vaccine. I'll lump Moderna in with that. We're talking about 300 million doses given here in the U.S. with a robust efficacy and safety profile. So these are legit. It was legit yesterday just as much as they are legit today. But what the full approval does is allow employers to require the vaccination. So you saw just hours after the news being released, the U.S. military saying that it's going to require it for its troops, for their safety and the safety of those in their communities. My own hospital released a policy to require full vaccination, colleges and universities. This might be that step that a lot of employers were waiting for to really require and get people vaccinated. Now, I do think there may be some people who are waiting for that full stamp of approval. I don't think that's going to be a large population to move the needle. But when we see employers start to require this, I think that's hopefully when we'll see an uptick in people getting vaccinated.
Oh, there's no doubt. I think that is really what the game changer, by having companies say, you want your job, you got to get vaccinated, because nobody wants to lose their job. And of course, you have the few people out there, including people who work at hospitals, who are upset by it, and they're saying tough, but we're not going to sit here and continue to infect people. This is where we are. And the reason we keep harping on these variants, because you and other doctors are saying that newer variants can be even deadlier than the Delta variant. That says a lot.
Yeah, that's really what worries me. We have 3/4 of the worldwide population is not vaccinated at this point. We've got the entire continent of Africa with just 2% fully vaccinated, which is just an embarrassing statistic. And so when we have these areas that have densely populated cities that have poor healthcare infrastructure in some cases, they are just a setup to putting us back to square one with another variant that may emerge in these areas. And so we don't want to get back to square one. So we have to take care of our people at home, of course, and expand vaccination. But we also have to make sure that we're getting vaccine supply into the world so that we can decrease the chance that we'll have this again.
One of the things that we have been looking over, and when we talk about these particular numbers that we're seeing, first of all, the FDA approval of the Pfizer vaccine is for those 16 and older. What do you know what the status is? Then that's Pfizer. What about Moderna? What about you also have the Johnson & Johnson?
Right. So I expect Moderna they've already filed for full FDA approval. I expect that to happen in the next few months or so. Johnson & Johnson will be behind them as well. So we can expect, let's say, early to midwinter is kind of the timeline that we've been given so far. And now another big question are children. So children below the age of 12 currently have no vaccination option. The trials are concluding at this point. And the officials at the FDA have indicated that we can expect to see some results around mid-fall to late fall. So hopefully we can start vaccinating. That first group will most likely be kids 5 to 11. And hopefully we can get emergency use authorization in that group. Now, one thing I want to mention, another possibility with full approval for the FDA is that you can have off-label use of drugs and vaccines. Doctors do it all the time. And so I've gotten a lot of questions from parents who've asked me, I've got a young child who's not eligible for vaccination. If these vaccines are fully approved, could my pediatrician use it as an off-label use for my child? And what I would say to that is, now the doses are different for the Pfizer vaccine in children. It's about a third of the regular dose for adults because you don't need that much for children. And so at this point, I wouldn't recommend having children given off-label use of the FDA Pfizer vaccine. And I just say that because I've gotten this question from a few people so far, but we want to make sure that the right dose is given to children and that we can make sure that they're protected. And in the meantime, the way you protect children, make sure the adults around them are vaccinated, make sure you're doing public health mitigation measures, wearing a mask, especially indoors. This is how we really protect children in the midst of a surge.
I got to ask you about this here. The FDA actually posted this on their Twitter feed on yesterday. This is just stunning. You are not a horse. You are not a y'all go to my iPad, please. You are not a horse. You're not a cow. Seriously, y'all, stop it. These folks are taking this anti-parasitic drug meant for livestock. I don't understand. You are afraid of a free vaccine, but you're so dumb that you're taking a drug for horses?
I saw this tweet and I had no words for it. But I also saw that the Mississippi Department of Public Health Poison Control Center, I've seen a spike in calls to the center for people having ivermectin overdose. Now, this is one of these therapies that we looked at earlier on in the course of the pandemic. It has no use whatsoever in the treatment of COVID-19. That's been proven in our high quality trials. But this just feeds into how dangerous this disinformation can be. This is on the level of the prior president saying, why don't we inject bleach? You cannot, when you feed disinformation, people will die, people will get sick. People will not get vaccinated. They will not listen to public health mitigation measures. They're going to do these stupid things like go to a livestock feed supply and get a drug that's not approved that treats worms in animals because someone told them that it was effective for COVID-19. So it was sad to see. I had to double check, check and make sure that this was actually happening. Unfortunately, it is. But it just goes to show just how dangerous misinformation can be.
All right, Dr. Tyson Bell, we surely appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
Folks, back to that Roland unfiltered video in just one moment.
Seek.com is founded by Mary Spio, a sister. It is a virtual reality company where they have content on their site. Again, Seek.com. They also have their products. They have the 360-degree headphones. These headsets are amazing. Tremendous bass. You can use these headsets for gaming as well. Plus, they have their virtual reality headsets where you place your cell phone into the device to allow you to see that VR content, but also 360-degree video. If you want to get that headphone, get those headphones or the VR headset, all you got to do is use this promo code RMVIP21, RMVIP21. Go to Seek.com to get their products. When you support them, you support us because a portion of the proceeds come back to us at Roland Martin Unfiltered.